So I started editing this video and I just kept getting annoyed that the zipper was down. So my bad, guys. If you see that, I probably won't annoy you because you guys aren't editing it and constantly looking at it. But I figured I'd throw this in here to let you guys know. My bad. Hey guys, Henry here. And today I wanted to talk about mountaineering boots. Now, in specific today we have here the Salewa Gore-Tex Boot. So we're going to be talking more about this boot, but it does apply a lot to general mountaineering boots and certain types of mountaineering boots. So again, this is the Salewa Gore-Tex Boot. It is a B2 boot. What that means is that it has a heel bail back here, but no toe bail, so it's compatible with pneumatic style crampons or crampons that have the clip in the back, strap in the front. I guess you could also use it with fully strapped crampons. But I don't know why you'd want to do that. So this boot is a Gore-Tex boot. As you can see here, it has this nice Gore-Tex lining, and then it goes into leather with a tongue that's it's wrapped in. This boot also has this rubber that goes around it, and it goes about 1.5 inches up. Great for waterproofing, good wet weather protection. So this boot is a B2 boot, and it's marketed more towards summer mountaineering expeditions. It does have a light insulation in it, as you can see, and I'll get a close-up of that. But it is kind of marketed towards those summer days on the glacier. Now, I live in the Northeast, it's just starting to get colder. I'm planning on using this on a lot of winter expeditions up in the White Mountains, Mount Washington, the Adirondacks, maybe some stuff in Maine. Now, some people do use B3 boots or fully stiff boots with the toe bail for Mount Washington treks. I don't think it's necessarily required for that unless you're doing the ice climbing routes. But for the easier routes up Mount Washington in the winter, I think you're going to do just fine in this boot or a boot similar to this. Now, this does have all of the great features of a mountaineering boot, like the Gore-Tex we talked about. It has that lacing system that goes all the way down, just like a climbing shoe. It also features a Vibram sole with that nice climbing zone up top, very stiff, sticky rubber. It has this nice neoprene in the heel for a really good, snug, comfortable fit. And something that is proprietary to Salewa is this 3F system here. And now what that is a wire running through to this lace loop, the ankle lace loop, and it goes all the way around to the next ankle lace loop. And so what that's supposed to do is when you're tying them, it's supposed to get a nice secure fit on the ankle so you don't get any hot spots or anything like that. I haven't had a chance, but I imagine it will perform just like any other mountaineering boot. So this boot does come up pretty high on your leg, not as drastic as some of the other mountaineering boots, but pretty good for a nice secure fit so that even if you're not using gaiters, you're probably going to be fine in wet weather. Now, this boot does only have a 3/4 shank through it, but if you're coming from the hiking side, just getting into mountaineering, you might think that's going to be a lot more flexible in the toe, but realistically, you still have very little flex in the toe. It's just minuscule differences. This is going to be a little more comfortable on scrambles and hiking than a B3 boot would. Now, I do plan on giving a full review for this boot once I get to use it this winter. I'm planning a lot of climbs and treks in the White Mountains and the Adirondacks where I'll be able to utilize this. Now, what I'm planning on doing this year with this is sort of training for going on glaciers. So I know there's not glaciers in the Northeast, but I can simulate that with different weathers, winds, especially Mount Washington and the Adirondacks, especially the amount of winds we get can help simulate some of the situations you might be in at higher altitudes, even though the tallest peak is just over 6,000 feet here. And also there are a lot of resources in terms of ice climbing, guide services and trekking in the White Mountains and the Adirondacks. It's a bigger thing than even I expected it to be when I started looking into that. In terms of the boot itself, it's made in Romania, which I really enjoy. I like stuff that's not made in China. From wearing it and what I've seen with it, it's very premium materials. They've done a very good job making this boot, and it's not too expensive. I know that you can find sales where it's only just over $200, I think now, which is a really good deal for your first mountaineering boot, especially since a lot of them end up upwards of $600. So another cool thing about this boot that Salewa does specifically is they have these adaptive soles in them. And so I have a pretty wide foot, so right now I have this yellow footbed in it, but it allows you to Velcro on a narrower piece that can make it more accustomed to a narrower foot, which is really good on them so that you can dial in your fit because mountaineering boots aren't necessarily comfortable compared to hiking boots and softer boots and shoes even. So that's about all the tech specs of this boot itself. I'll give some footage of it on my feet and how it fits and how it actually flexes with the foot in there so you can see how stiff it really is. Now in terms of mountaineering boots themselves, if you're looking to get into mountaineering, this is a great boot. Also many other B2 boots are great for getting into mountaineering. So a lot of people go with the La Sportiva Trango Tech, I believe. That's a really popular boot. Or Scarpa makes one similar as well where it has that 3/4 shank in it. I do believe this will fit with any crampon, the pneumatic style crampons, not depending on brand. So I use Gravel crampons and it has a great fit. I dialed it in really nicely. And I imagine for any other crampons it'll fit just fine. That's about all I have to say about this boot in particular. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below and I'll try to answer every single one. So here's what they look like on my feet. Now you can see, if it's going to focus, I do a surgeon's before going into my ankle loops. I don't really remember where I picked that up from for mountaineering boots, but I do that. Just gets a nice secure fit for the bottom lacing part. So here we can see how they flex. Now, you can see I'm really pushing into that and I'm not getting really much flex from them. And they are really stiff still. But that's what they look like.